just a mic. Hi guys, thanks for letting me have the opportunity to share about like company secretary. I think the thing first is company secretary ranking. I mean, there's the different career options that you can choose for the internship, right? So the thing is that probably this is one of the career that I think is less spoke of, and I think today I see the need to share with you guys what this role is about. So probably let me do a kickstart with an introduction about myself. So, okay, basically I'm still a Ngee accountancy grad. I haven't really got a degree or things like that. I went in straight from accountancy to project and done actually for my internship for CorpSec. Doing CorpSec actually, company secretary. And of course, I think you are more familiar with like Big Four accounting firm, but not exactly Big Four law firm, am I right? So the thing is, Raja and Tan is actually one of the big four law firms in Singapore, but also recognized in Asia. So I was there, and then after that, I went to work for 20 years old corporate service company, which is doing like corporate secretarial, accounting, and tax like that. And I was actually given the opportunity to be a director of the company. At that time, my partner or my boss is actually a Cambridge lawyer. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to actually learn from a Cambridge lawyer, because the thing at the end of the day is not just the technical skills and stuff, it's actually communication. So that is what I learned from there. And eventually I think I got sort of sick of working in big firms and also like in advisory, so I went to do the legal tech startup business. So doing like software and things like that, develop software to tackle the issue for professional firms. From there, basically, I started my own firm. I had a lot of people to come to me and ask me, you know, Dennis, can you help me figure out how to actually settle my fundraising? So I'm actually in the startup area business that is like advising them how they can get that done, and also like the corporate governance rules and things like that. That is very much a demand space in the startup world now. So that's what I'm running now, my firm. And then Eric and Beckers is actually more like a hobby. I always wanted to have my own suits, I guess. And this is actually started off, I think, 6 months ago. But it's from what I learned from doing like the rules and corporate secretarial and stuff, right? To build my base, I eventually got into my hobby, actually. Yeah, so generally this is me. And probably I did share a bit of what I did from Aegis Partners. So Aegis Partners was started about 2 years ago. Some of the biggest achievement actually we had done is, other than acting as a company secretary for more than 100 Singapore companies, right? We have actually founders from 90% of them are all foreigners. They are not Singaporeans. This actually makes a difference between the founder from a Singapore origin and also from, like, say, foreign land. Because the thing is, they don't know the rules more than us here we do, and that is actually the part that you might want to feel. I mean, that's the part that I feel that I strive to actually sort of get my niche lah. It's always finding your niche actually. So that is one of the things that I kick-started with, and now I'm actually doing yearly master classes on corporate governance. Later I'll cover what I mean by corporate governance. Basically, I've been mentoring Murudi. It's actually backed by Telstra. It's like Australians Singtel. And I've been giving masterclass for 3 years. So basically I think I mentor about like 30 companies from there, 30 different startups from all over the world also. And that's one of the interesting things, eventually if you guys ever want to do your startup and things like that, you can always ask me about it. There's the last thing that I think is one of the, I say is like a cornerstone for my career. Is actually Kazakhstan embassy actually approached me before with another lawyer to actually help them set up the Chamber of Commerce for them. So I think for that is where I found the niche that I know corporate secretarial is the way to go. So generally this is some of the achievements that I had done. So today I want to cover some topics. Basically, one is, of course, you have to first understand what is the role of company secretary in a Singapore context, and also what we do, like meetings and resolution and things like that. I'm going to do a case study also, which I might just pop some question over. You might get to earn your participation points here, you see. So that is something that I want to share, like how you can tackle C law generally in overall approach. So the other two things that I'm sharing from my own end is actually what we are going to look at today is new digital age, which is the thing about like now there's as you could see, there's more and more startups, there's more and more mobile apps and things like that. But with all these apps coming up, the business part is one of them. But the thing about like other than just the business, the structure, all this comes into place when there's new businesses coming up. And that leads me to the role of the company secretary in new digital age. So let me get the statutory portion right first, so that you understand what the role is first before we go and look at what's the possibility from being a company secretary. Basically, the points to cover for company secretary, right? There's a few things. First is the appointment qualification. Second is the qualification. Third, authority, general duties. Fourth, fiduciary duties, and then liabilities. So the thing here is that first we look at what's company secretary. So generally, I think what I need to set this clear is that company secretary is not like a personal secretary. Company secretary is actually a secretary that is taking care of a company. So first thing is, I think you all know for like companies, right? The first thing you learn is that it's a separate legal entity. And separate legal entity means you have to actually take care of company like as though it's a person. And that's where the company secretary comes to role for that. And so that's the part that company secretary not only take care of the administrative matters, which is like the calling with the government, which is the authority is actually accounting and corporate regulatory authority. Also, we organize meetings, we file forms, and keep the proper records. So the thing about these records, right, is in the end, it's actually used for the company's due diligence. And that's quite important if you were talking about like fundraising and things like that. So usually the company secretary get instructions from the company's directors. The company's directors are actually like the biggest role in the companies itself. They actually take the executive decision or non-executive decision, but then the company secretary assists the directors. So it's like this the second man, in the whole company. That's what usually happens when basically my 100 startups, right? What they do is that they always come to me first before they go to their accountants or their tax agents and stuff. Because the thing is, they'll ask me, okay, what should I set up steps to achieve certain things? It might not be even corporate governance stuff, but the thing is, it's actually the proximity between, like in the company, who are the officers or the agents that are more closer to the directors. So I sort of like win that sort of favor from the directors, and that's quite a point to make. Of course, the role is the role, but we are not only doing the role as like a form of custom practice and things like that. No, it's not just that. It's actually the law itself actually empowers us in a sense that every company actually have to have a company secretary that has to be actually locally resident, which is where my like my full-time staff and myself, we actually act for clients. They come to us, and what empowers that is actually Section 171 sub 1 for the Companies Act. So generally, right, when you study company law itself, what you should look at, right, is first understand for that section number, what is it trying to cover. So if I were you, right, I will do my mapping and stuff like that, right, and identify straight away what's the head, like the header for that section, so they can just link it up easier. That was what I do best in the class, I guess. It's like linking up the content. So generally, Section 171 just only take care of one thing. It's a section itself just for company secretary, and there's the different rules in that. Like, so the company secretary actually don't have to be employee. It can be like us, service provider, And that is also again empowered by the law itself. The law entrench it to make us compulsory. It's a career that is actually, it can be even a cornerstone for companies itself when you talk about like operation for them. So the thing about, there's actually need for the qualification for actually public companies. So I'm actually acting as a company secretary for a few public companies also. And the thing is, the person actually have to be qualified. And about the qualification, right, we are talking about like, it's actually against statutory setup. You know, it's all here. I'm actually in the second category. That was how I got my foreign agent license also, actually from Accra itself. And if not, then the third category is also one point that's quite interesting, which is actually once you get like a license, actually like a professional license, like example, you're a lawyer, you're a chartered accountant, or you're a chartered secretary, right? You can apply straight for the license, or you can even act as a public company's company secretary. So I guess you guys know, for public companies, they are usually not, I would say, private affairs and things like that, and it comes with legal roles and responsibilities and stuff like that. So when you talk about that, right, there's this, the law came in about the amendment and say that, you know, Accra actually have to come in and say that, and put this law and say that if Accra feels that, like the registrar feels that the company doesn't keep good records, right, they have to make sure the company secretary is actually a public company's company secretary. So it's not just that, like previously before this amendment, right, it was more of a, okay, just private companies can just appoint company secretaries that the directors deem fit. But actually it's more than that now. It's actually more of like on the point that if Accra actually thinks that the company don't maintain good records, right, they can come down and say, you must appoint a company secretary that is actually qualified company secretary. So I think this is a good point to share that is actually emphasizing the importance of this role itself. Another point very important also to say is that when there's only one director in the company, right, the person cannot act as a secretary. So again, this points out that secretary is not just a dispensable role in the company. That's very important to note for that, the section 171. So what can a company secretary do actually? So the thing is, there's the common law that you should take note of. It's not like defined. I would say the duties are what the custom practice that is expected from us now. But as I just mentioned earlier, section 4, right, is actually the definition section for all of the definition in the Companies Act itself. So section 4 itself actually covers the definition of officer, right, to include not only directors but also company secretary. So that point says that the company secretary actually shares a lot of duties, you know, along with the directors. They have their own set of duties, which is more administrative duties. But when you talk about duties like that, right, you're talking about like attending meetings. When I talk about meetings, it can be in the form of like directors meetings or shareholders meetings, things like that. We have to keep minutes. We actually have to act for the company to issue notice. I did that sometimes. And you know, shareholders might just come back and then ask, hey, what's going on and things like that. I've seen that happening. The fixing of company seal is actually another point that there's a change to the law now, which so what happened is that sometimes actually there's this form of like documents called a deed. A deed means like something like a will about an attorney. It's like you can authorize, example for a power attorney, you can authorize someone to act on behalf of you. So if you know that that is a form of deed, right, you cannot execute it like a simple agreement. That's where the company seal come in. But then recently there's a change in the law. Actually it's 2016, and then they removed the need. They actually say that either any two directors or one director, one secretary can actually execute a deed. A deed is not a simple agreement. I think you guys have learned that in business law, I think. Yeah, so that's where it comes about, the business law part also. And not only that, I actually call it like investor relation. The corresponding with the shareholders is what we call, in this like modern day, we call it investor relation. Like you actually want to, the directors sometimes don't want to just go straight to the shareholders. It might like really sort of, the thing is like they want to use like a third party in a sense, company secretary, to send in notice, and so that sometimes it's all about relationship also, So that is actually a very good role to actually help the company. And then the other thing is keeping and maintaining the registers. The registers, we are talking about statutory registers. That means the law requires you to actually maintain the registers. If not, in breach, right, you might. So what happened is that we share this section 175. So generally, what's section 175? Section 175 is actually the duties and responsibilities of officers. And I think, again, I emphasize that company secretary role shares a lot of like shared burden with the directors itself. And that's why to actually gain or make company lose in some sense. So that will come with repercussion, and that will be the next slides. Yeah. So the repercussion itself, first thing is the section of the Companies Act itself will come and get the company secretary. So when you look at that, I was talking about section 175 sub 2, which is the duties itself. And if you breach that, then the next section, the subsection, right, will come and find the company secretary and say, you must return any profit that you make to the company. You must pay any damage that has been suffered by the company. That is quite a serious point you talk about. The other point is actually the case law itself. So the case law itself, right, on this is that this case is quite interesting. I went to do a further read up about it, right? If you guys can spend the time, just a little time, just on reading the story of the case itself, you don't even memorize the name. You can just write the story. You can record it quite easily. So the thing about this is that he actually say that. So the secretary actually say that he will represent. He will give a consideration of the shares, and in return, right, he get the part about his own gain to get a mine. So that was quite an interesting thing, that he made secret gains, but actually then he said it has nothing to do with the company now. The company shares is not worth anything. But he's been so what happened was that the judgment by the court itself, right, is that he actually had to give back whatever he had gained from there. So that is the case law. And then the last part is you can even attract criminal liabilities, means that he might get imprisoned. Imprisonment, I mean, that is one thing that I'm very concerned when I act as a company secretary for the company also, you see. So that is where the the section 175 comes quite heavily on us. Often is that we actually have to arrange for meetings. We actually have to pass resolutions. So the thing is, what is resolutions? When you think about it, it's actually it comes with the topic about like corporate governance. That there's always the thing about the control and the ownership of the company. That when there's the distinction between what the directors can do and what the shareholders can do, right? This is what we are talking about. The resolutions formalize this arrangement. So there's in the Companies Act, you will see definition in like they generally define general meetings, right? It means actually meetings for the members. So when we talk about that, there is a few different sort of meetings. We have the most common is the annual general meetings. That is a yearly thing that if they don't hold it on time, that's where the penalty come in, and the non-compliant corporate compliance come in. No bank loan to the company. All this is because of one thing: AGM, holding an AGM. I actually had to study the law to figure something for my client, that they say I don't want to keep holding AGM every year. Okay, is there a way that I can do that? He said, yeah, you can do that. But the thing is, again, company's law has always been changing over the past 3 years. It's changing very vigorously, actually, in a sense that so for AGM, right? Actually, I suggest to dispense the AGM through AGM itself for future AGMs. So there's the thing about the AGM itself. There's the thing about EGM, which is anything that is not included in the AGM. That is quite easy to remember for EGM, actually. And lastly is the class meeting. When I talk, I think most people can't relate to class meeting. But the thing is, I have companies that have different class of shareholders. There's people that can vote, there's people that can't vote, and they're all in private companies, So I think that comes to a point where when you run business, right, you want to have that kind of different classes that Of course, actually it gets more technical like in that, but it actually sort of like helps out on the operation of the company from there. And then lastly, there's the directors meeting. There's the, as we usually say, board of directors meeting. The board, when we say board, right, it's actually directors. We are talking about board of directors. We quote it short, board meetings. And then there's sometimes the directors actually set up committees. And when you talk about public company, right, we see that a lot. We have audit committees. So you have external auditors coming in. You have internal auditors coming to the committee and then review the documents and things like that. And then we also have like tax remuneration committees. I've seen that a lot. And then in like say for public company, right, you can have all these meetings happening in a quarter, right? And you can they are like just chasing after the meetings, you know. And that is what I see in public companies. So there's two types of resolutions that the general meetings will usually actually resolve. So there's the first is the ordinary resolutions, which is actually simple vote, majority of votes, which is as we say, like 50%. Okay. So when a private company general meeting, right, is if it's for private company holding general meetings, or whether is it special or ordinary resolution, they have to give, the company have to actually give 14 days written notice to the members. So that is actually under the law, section 177 and section 184. Generally, so section 184, just have to remember, section 184 is all about the holding of the meetings, the resolutions being passed under that section 184. And then but for the public company, right, only for passing ordinary resolutions, then you can hold 14 days. Because the next slide on the special resolution, right, makes it different for the public company. There's a reason for that, actually. So for public company, right, if you don't give enough notice, right, you know, the shareholders, they can actually sue the companies to say that, you know, you didn't follow the rules, and then I would deem that the resolution is not passed. And then when you don't pass that special resolution, when you talk about special resolution, right, you're talking about the 3/4 majority of votes, and you're talking about more serious matters like amending the constitution itself. The constitution is, as you guys will know, is the rule book for the company, it's the regulation to run the company itself. And even the change of company name, which I find interesting that it's under 3/4, but it does make a difference now I think about it, because company name, right, can just represent the whole entire different thing. That's why it's under this special resolution to amend the name. And of course, lastly is that if you're going to change the nature of the company from private to public company, right, you're talking about a lot of administration happening here, and that needs a special resolution. So for ordinary resolutions that require special notice, that is also, all this is actually covered under the Companies Act itself. There's the part where I initiated the removal of directors before. It's very different from a removal of auditor. Removal of auditor is, you know, like you terminate the contract and then you want to get the administration done. You do that quite easily. But removal of directors usually comes in a very ugly form. That they just quarrel. You know, directors can just quarrel and say that, you know, I don't think I should, I wasn't given enough time, then you tell me I should go and stuff like that. I've seen that. But you have to use that's where we come in, use the law and say that we've done the necessary special notice, which is under section 185, to give at least 28 days. And that actually makes a difference. Anything less than that, right, he can deem and say, you cannot remove me. I'm going to stay around. I'm going to make things, like, I've seen people that make things very difficult for the other directors to run the meetings. And then lastly is that the company must then give 14 days notice of the resolution to its members from here.
Actually, these are things you can consider doing in your AGM room to make
Tips.
it interesting.
Yeah.
What Dennis just said, because this is
how usually I do. I was actually doing my, I did my law degree to the second year, and well, I think to first year I remember I studied about like 100 case law just to get by with the papers. It's not that straightforward. So the thing is, but you know, doing that I realized that what does the subject want from you? You actually have to actually identify facts, and facts is only one thing. The other thing is that how do you actually link it up to the law? Actually, that's the formula that Mrs. Gopalan shared. which is first identify the facts, find the law that might be breached, apply that straight, and then next thing conclude it with the possible liabilities that comes. That's as straightforward as that. But here, what we're talking about is actually that. So from what you just saw earlier, right? So Harvey wants to get rid of the new CEO. He thinks that he can't do the business. You want to get involved in that. The other thing is that his boss, Jessica, just wants Harvey not to interfere with this. While we're looking at the part, straight away it's very easy to identify. He should not be making improper use of his position as a company secretary. That's a statutory law that you can throw in straight and get the points. The other part is the case law. So we're talking about case law here. It's not so strong. When I wrote it, I think it's not so strong because maybe he just want gains from his own company. But you can actually write assumptions. Why not apply the law? It's related, right? So I put it in and say on the assumptions that he gains secret gains through through this change of the CEO, then he's actually liable, So that is a good point that this is how you can actually work around for your C law, even the SMs and stuff. That just make it more, substantive. So then you conclude it with the liabilities, and that is when you end it off, you just have to say, if you can class it out from if paragraphing actually matters, and say that your civil liabilities. I always take civil liabilities on top first before I talk about criminal liabilities, because criminal liabilities is, I say it's something that is very serious. I say that I don't want to get into jail for that, and things like that. I end it with a tone like that, a serious tone like that. But you can lay out things like that. So this is the second scene for the episode.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. It's standard for me to prep the board on any voting procedure. Where do I speak? When I tell you to. Let's go. I suggested to Stansland you be there to convince the board the production won't be hurt by an overseas move. It helps your credibility that he brought you here.
The scene itself that you just saw, basically Harvey actually mentioned about he will start the meeting with a brief on the voting rights, etc., what procedure and things like that. That's what I do actually. So that is one of the things that they need a professional to get it done. Another thing is that, another point is actually quite interesting is that Robert actually exercised his right as a new CEO to shoot the gate. That is actually where you can find that in the constitution of the company, the bylaws. And that is the sort of a deciding moment for how the company will end up to look like or to be working with things like that. That is quite a good point, because I experienced those requests to actually review the constitution to see how it can, not only the constitution, the shareholders agreement, to see how it can actually host out founders of the company. Can I kick that guy out? Is he a bad founder and things like that? Those are questions that was actually posed to me down my career as company secretary. This is the last thing.
Each of you had 24 hours to review the documents in front of you.
I think that is down to that, if you're competitive, okay? So the thing is that they also keep quoting the bylaw itself. That makes the whole thing about understanding the bylaws plays a very big role in the company's operation. Not only just the statute itself is not enough. The statute stays silent on some things that the constitution actually have to cover actually. So my last point was actually a good reference for the project. So I think you guys are 5 minutes break. Then from there I will characteristic of the companies being set up in UK, Hong Kong, in Singapore, and also in US. I got questions directed to us like that, and not only that. So in order to scale up that part, right, I actually had to do articles and talks and things like that on the different jurisdictions. So that is one point later I'll cover again. Lunch subscription, I think in CBD area. So that is it's always in that angle that mobile apps is the next thing that you just in your hand you can make decisions and things like that, or you can get things done properly. So that's why there's a lot of tech startups coming out also. And then last point is actually the law itself. So I mentioned about the statutory requirement for common sale, right? Well, the law has changed during 2016 March. They actually say they amend the law to actually remove the common seal. You know why? In Hong Kong company, right? They have actually most countries have amended this old law, like the need for a common seal. I think 3-4 years back, and the big point that they mentioned, is it necessary? Do we need this? A lot of countries have removed that. Is there any issue from their end? We look at it, no problem. Let's go and get it done.
Section 19.5 has not been amended. Section 19.5 for incorporation.
In Asia, okay. In Asia, right, the number actually we can fight with like Indonesia, but the unicorns are the one that sets a big difference. There's only 4 unicorns. I think that is quite easy to identify. First of them is actually Grab. They are valuated more than 1 billion. So anything that's more than 1 billion for valuation, right, they immediately will be recognized in the category of unicorns. So Grab is one of them. The other one is, I would say the more popular names are Razer. Razer is quite interesting. I just got a Razer phone. It's actually valuated for more than 1 billion. And I was surprised from there, you know. And because it's found by a Singapore founder. So it's like nation proud, I guess, but it's quite impressive. So we are talking about more numbers in our where we have the centaurs and the unicorns. That means these statistics show us is that the headquarters are actually based in Singapore. It's a good indication. Then from there you also can see that there's other startups. Some of them are used for subsidiaries. I think you all know what subsidiaries is. It can be found in other countries to be like sales office and things like that. So that's one good point to look at. So from this trend that, you know, this is a new digital age, everything will be, is always all on the apps, it's always on phone or online. There's not much of doing the resolutions, but nowadays we are moving more towards like resolutions in writing. So we usually circle that it can be signed counterparts and stuff because of logistic issues. And then last point is like maintaining and accessing the statutory records itself. What forms of statutory records? One of the very main thing is actually the registers themselves and also the resolutions that is passed. So I've seen that before when I was working in Raja and Tan. It has changed a lot. Don't be afraid of that. Things have changed. That was probably only 3, 4, or 5 years before. That's just like that. But times have changed. Probably half of that is gone. There's a new approach to this. So what Aegis came up with, basically my firm came up with the way to improve on this workflow, where we actually do electronic signature. It's actually allowed under the Electronic Transaction Act. So the thing is, like, as a company secretary, I do not only need to know about company law itself. I actually have to look into other laws, like how do I execute the documents? You know, what is a deed? What is calendar year and things like that. There's definition in that cannot be found in just companies like itself. That takes the initiative from yourself to look at it. So this is a very, I would say, it's a very new adoption of technology that I can probably say that my firm is the only in probably the 10 to 20 companies that is out of the 200 to 300 corporate service firm that does this. And lawyers actually gave me the approval for that. They recognized the electronic signature because of the law. And I raised before about I think about 800K or something like that for Series A or late seed. That is the day-to-day that we do. We are there to make sure that they have done the paperwork done properly for fundraising. Because if there's, and also on the due diligence, because I've seen a company that has its valuations of triple, right? Because the due diligence wasn't done properly. There wasn't a resolution passed to acquire a business and things like that. It was a nightmare. I mean, even for things like that, that's one. Another thing was like, say, dispute of founders. That was another. Like the shares wasn't dealt out properly. Investors want to get into a company where one of the shareholders might be just not doing anything and not helping as a founder per se. And all those are due diligence. The word due diligence is actually mentioned very, very commonly, and that is one point. And the last point is actually investor relation. Investor relation, I'm talking about not just the directors actually holds the primary role of updating the investor about what's going on with the business. That's what usually I see. Okay, so what they do is they give like newsletter updates and things like that. But then when the directors want the shareholders to give like waiver of pre-emptions and things like that, like give permission to actually authorize them to issue new shares to do fundraisings, back to point one again, that comes very important. That was the point that I think a lot of startups actually they miss out on that also. Like the investor relation can really make or break a company. So I was saying that cross-border is the one thing that we do, right? So now our firm has an office in Singapore, and we also have an office in Vietnam. Basically, what we do is that we help businesses incorporate companies in this market. There is practice of my own saying, kind of thing. It's